The train driver reported hitting a pedestrian, yet the fire department hesitated to immediately begin rescue operations. At that moment, high-voltage electricity flowed through the tracks. They had to wait for the control center to cut the power before taking action. Firefighters searched along the tracks and found Jack, a boy, trapped beneath the train's undercarriage. His ankle was tightly wedged between the axles, with blood continuously flowing from the wound. Fortunately, he remained conscious. Jack tearfully explained he and his sister had sneaked into the maintenance tunnel for an adventure. The entrance gate automatically locked, and as he tried to escape the tunnel, an oncoming train struck him. Firefighters immediately entered the tunnel to search for Jack's sister. Upon receiving confirmation the power was cut, the team leader and crew verified the tracks were de-energized and swiftly began rescue operations. Firefighters laid wooden planks and used jacks to lift the heavy train car. They then employed hydraulic cutters to sever components, successfully freeing Jack's injured leg. After basic bandaging, Jack was transported to the hospital on a stretcher. The captain radioed the search team but received no response. The entire crew ventured deeper into the tunnel only to find their comrade frozen beside the tracks. Human remains were scattered around the tracks. The girl had been crushed to pieces by the train. All rescuers fell silent. The scene haunted the new recruit. A veteran teammate patted his shoulder, reminding him that confronting death was an essential lesson for firefighters. That day, the emergency center delivered a mountain of flesh. Bill, a fellow who hadn't left his bed in 3 years. It took over a dozen medical staff to lift him onto the hospital bed. Suddenly, a woman burst in.
I'm sorry, and you are?
I'm his wife.
The doctors were stunned. Subsequent examinations revealed Bill had a gastrointestinal infection, but the medical team couldn't locate any viable blood vessels. Doctors had no choice but to bring in a mobile X-ray machine. The moment they lifted Bill's abdominal flap, the putrid stench from the necrotic tissue nearly made the doctors vomit. A deep scan was now essential. Despite 3 years of immobility, Bill was brimming with confidence and insisted on walking into the examination room himself.
I didn't think I could do this.
Oh my God, baby, you're standing!
His confidence lasted about 3 seconds before his fragile ankle fractured under the weight of his 600 pounds. A CT scan was now imperative, but the machine could only bear half his weight. At this point,
What about the zoo? And they gotta have a CT for like rhinos, right?
the intern proposed an alternative solution. The scan revealed a massive abscess in Bill's abdomen. The infection had already eroded his organs, requiring immediate surgical removal. Simultaneously, Bill was diagnosed with diabetes and heart disease, making the surgery terrifyingly high risk. The doctors left the decision to the patient. Thinking of his pregnant fiancée, Bill decided to give it a try. The hospital then worked through the night to build a super operating room. But in the end, he defeated death. A man drove his car into the hospital lobby, trapping Alex, a patient waiting in line. Under the wheels, his femoral artery ruptured, blood gushing out. Medical staff immediately began rescue efforts. The driver, David, was unconscious. Doctors smashed the window to enter the driver's compartment and shut off the engine. Alex's agonized moans came from beneath the vehicle, but the space under the chassis was too narrow. Blindly lifting the car could cause secondary injuries. Nurse Lisa, using her petite frame, crawled under the vehicle and pressed her fingers firmly against the ruptured artery. The unconscious David was carried on a stretcher into the hospital for examination. Firefighters arriving at the scene found Alex's leg trapped between the wheel structure. Lisa never released her pressure on the artery. The fire department set up support tools and inflated airbags to prepare for a smooth lift of the vehicle.
1, 2, 3.
Alex was finally extracted, but he had bled out beyond saving. Examination revealed the driver, David, had a massive tumor in his heart. He had suddenly lost consciousness while driving, causing the accident. The transplant surgery carried lower risks than tumor removal. Coincidentally, Alex, who had been struck, was an organ donor. Doctors made the bold decision to transplant the deceased's heart into the driver. The surgery was successful, but no one knew if Alex could rest in peace. Lily was merely grazed by the drone, yet she instantly lost half her nose and nasal bone. Paramedic Sylvie, arriving on the scene, was stunned. She immediately applied pressure to stop Lily's bleeding. Colleague Sophie retrieved the severed tip of the nose from the grass. Fortunately, the wound was clean and smooth. With timely medical attention, it could be reattached. Just as they prepared to leave, the mischievous Tom reactivated the drone responsible for the accident. Lily trembled with rage, and even Sylvie felt her scalp tingle. The next second, Sophie suddenly swung a hoe, knocking the drone right out of Tom's hands. Sylvie declared the drone a dangerous object, insisting they were acting in self-defense. Lily could barely contain herself. She wanted to smash it to pieces immediately.
You ever heard of smash therapy?
Sylvie clearly needed an emotional release more than anyone. After all, in the previous rescue mission, she'd been chased by the patient's family and nearly lost her life. Without hesitation, Sylvie hurled the drone to the ground with all her might. James arrived at the hospital with an injured right hand, yet he couldn't control it.
Oh, sorry. Dad, I am so sorry.
Dr. Gray nearly choked to death as Susan relentlessly blamed her father. The doctor never imagined James would be this difficult. Just as Susan finished apologizing, James suddenly began moving again. Gray was utterly speechless and had to switch to a male doctor for treatment.
He's over there, and watch your ass.
She thought she'd never see James again, but his test results showed problems once more. This time, Gray deliberately adjusted her position, yet still couldn't escape James' grasp. Gray suddenly thought of something. She tentatively opened James' palm and confirmed her suspicion. Susan mentioned her father had been perfectly normal a year ago. Since this condition emerged, friends and family had distanced themselves. Gray diagnosed it as a classic grasp reflex typically seen only in infants. However, if a brain tumor releases pressure and lifts inhibition, primitive reflexes can resurface, causing uncontrollable behavior. Yet James had never received treatment over the years. He'd been dismissed as a perverted old man, and now it was incurable. The fire department received a call. A sewer manhole cover had shot skyward, striking a car's driver's seat with pinpoint accuracy, performing a chokehold attack on the driver. Hundreds of pounds of cast iron manhole covers erupted in rapid succession, exploding like continuous fireworks. Pedestrians scattered in panic, and parked vehicles became stationary targets. Firefighters crouched for cover as the captain urgently contacted command center, reporting a sewer system explosion and demanding immediate natural gas shutdown. After the covers ceased erupting, the rescue team began freeing the trapped driver. They secured the manhole cover with ropes and collectively pulled it out. The driver instantly regained breathing. Rescuers fitted him with a neck brace and transported him to the hospital. The team then extinguished underground fires. Investigation revealed mischievous children had thrown firecrackers into the sewer just 5 minutes after their arrival. Twin siblings Leo and Sophia faced critical challenges. Leo's underdeveloped lungs required round-the-clock life support, while Sophia's congenital heart defect demanded immediate surgery. The surgical director assured Father Jack they would do everything possible to save the children. Yet halfway through the procedure, a violent storm caused a complete hospital power outage. Though emergency generators activated promptly, restoring full power would take time, plunging the operating room into chaos. At that moment, Sophia's chest had already been opened. The lead surgeon and his team were prepared to share the risks to save this tiny life. The backup power could only last 40 minutes. Meanwhile, in the ward, Leo seemed to sense his sister's peril, crying incessantly. Resident Mark fetched a manual ventilator to assist his breathing. The medical team prepared to transfer postpartum mother Anna. Intern Eric personally guaranteed the hospital to keep the patient. Inside the operating room, doctors needed to suture the egg-sized heart vessels without imaging guidance. Every stitch had to be precise and error-free. At this moment, the backup power had only 8 minutes left. All medical staff were racing against death.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Here we go.
Be the heart. Feel the heart.
The team manually maintained the infant's cardiac circulation. Every breath held, every focus concentrated, formed a chain of life. Ultimately, the infant's surgery concluded successfully. The moment the lead surgeon wheeled out the patient, the hospital's power fully restored. Medical staff returned Sophia to her parents. Danielle noticed Leo still weeping. Doctors placed his post-operative sister beside him. The instant Leo's tiny hand touched Sophia, the infant finally ceased crying. A mother, overcome by smoke inhalation, was about to throw her 3-month-old baby from a 10-meter rooftop. Firefighter Taylor frantically shouted through a megaphone, but the mother had completely lost her mind. It turned out her home had caught fire while she was napping. By the time she reached the rooftop with the baby, thick smoke had already engulfed them. Though the fire department immediately deployed the ladder truck, the surrounding flames and heat waves pushed her to complete collapse. Firefighters frantically urged her to stay calm, promising rescue was imminent, but this mother couldn't wait. She suddenly raised the infant, poised to throw her down. Everyone at the scene froze in horror. In that critical moment, Taylor darted out like lightning, catching the infant securely just as it hit the ground. Team medic Stella immediately rushed over to check on the baby. After seeing her child saved, the mother made an even more shocking move. She leaped off the rooftop herself, sending chills down every firefighter's spine.